Now, will Ace Magashule apologise? The suspended ANC Secretary General has until the close of business today to apologise to party President Cyril Ramaphosa. But we understand Magashule is fighting his suspension. News 24 is reporting he's taking the party to court over this matter. Magashule issued a letter announcing he was suspending Ramaphosa this after he was suspended for failing to step aside. The ANC says if Magashule fails to apologise, he will face consequences. Let's talk some more about this now with political analyst Sandile Swana. Sandile, a very good morning. Thanks for your time this morning. So, as you heard, it's being reported this morning that Ace Magashule has served the ANC with papers arguing that the step-aside rule is unconstitutional. If that is the case, are we to gauge then that there will absolutely be no apology from him today?
Well, in the same story that Yuveka, in the same story, apparently Carl Newhouse says that there will be an apology from Ace Magashule with conditions. Now, usually an apology like that will end up underlining the provocation and insults, actually, at the end of the day. That is how I would see it. If you look at the stance of Ace Magashule, the stance of Zuma, these are people whose personalities are personalities of no retreat. Once they start a battle, they see it through. So I do not expect to see a sheepish Ace Magashule anytime soon.
So this latest move now of his, serving the party with papers, arguing over the step-aside rule, saying it's unconstitutional, what would this mean for his future in the party? I mean, if you do this, if you're taking your own party to court, what could it mean for him possibly in the months and years ahead?
Well, the act of taking the party to court in the home province of Magashule, it has served some people very well because the previous election results have been nullified, and then those who had lost what they thought they lost unfairly are now legitimate. But they were warned not to take the party to court. They took the party to court and won. And in actual fact, interestingly, this case of Magashule is going to rely on those victories as well to actually prop up his own position. Now, there are several things. I think that for the ordinary citizens and those who are interested in good governance, if indeed Magashule is taking this matter to court, it will be a very excellent move to educate us as a body politic. Our judges have tried to explain to us that when a person is elected, when you start interfering with an elected person in whatever way, you are actually undermining the will and the wishes of those that elected that person. So ideally, when you want to recall or remove a person, it is better to ask those who elected that person to remove them, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the ideas that are going to be probably concretized in this court case.
I mean, just to look at what could possibly happen, regardless of the outcome of this court case, Sandile, I mean, you have to wonder what would their relationship be? What would his function be, regardless of the outcome? Can you do something like this and still remain a dedicated member of a particular political party?
Yuveka, you and I must remember that we live in this country, lived in this country for a long time. Some of our family members are directly involved in the African National Congress, have been so since the 60s and beyond. And some people, for instance, people like Paulo Jordan, were arrested in exile for no good reason. And they had to continue after Tambo rescued him from that illegal imprisonment by his own comrades. So comrades have done things to each other and continue to do things to each other and continue, after doing things to each other, to serve in the same structures, attend the same NEC meeting for a lifetime. So when you are a member of the ANC and you're in the top structures of the ANC, you are going to be abused, you are going to be sidelined, taken out, brought in, isolated, deprived. You are going to be abused for the rest of your life. And you are going to work with your abusers until you die.
Well, on that note then, Sandile, I mean, the Cape Times raising a very good point this morning, saying when it comes to the step-aside resolution, former President Jacob Zuma remains untouched, raising the question of, are there double standards? Why? I mean, he's due in court next week on corruption charges. Why hasn't the same applied to him?
Absolutely. Zuma is eminently qualified. He's probably the #1 candidate who they should be busy with. But the question then is, where is this whole step-aside thing come from? Who is sponsoring this and for what reason? I don't want to speculate about that, but it is not the constitution of the ANC, it is not good governance within the ANC that is actually promoting this step-aside. It is something probably that is highly factional, that is sponsored by certain groups of business people, entrepreneurs of various kinds. It's probably a business competition. I don't know. But certainly, when you contrast Zuma himself and Ace Magashule is a small boy.
So are you saying, Sandile, then that this step-aside resolution is, it sounds like there's something more sinister behind it from what you're saying. Do you think there is something more sinister behind it, that it is not warranted at all then?
Yes, I've said that before. I've said that the entire resolution was conceived in mischief for mischievous purposes. It was entirely unnecessary. Let us look at Ace Magashule. Let us look at Leona Kleinans, the person who started the asbestos case, which is what Ace Magashule is charged for. In 2015, the Auditor General made a decision, a finding that these transactions on the asbestos case are irregular, and so on and so forth. No member of the ANC charged anybody anywhere for that. They did not charge Ace Magashule through their own disciplinary process. This idea of charging Ace Magashule for the same facts is very, very recent, very recent. And the people who were actively pursuing that, this Dugwana in the Free State, he was there. The thing that Leona Kleinans of the DA did could have been done by Lungile Dugwana. Why didn't he do it? Oscar Mabuyane, why didn't they lay charges against Magashule? Why didn't they put him through the disciplinary process? And many, many other people that we all know are heavily implicated in the irregular removal of funds from the state, and also failure to oversee the funds of the state and the use of those funds.
All right, Sandile, it's a very interesting point of view and some food for thought there. Thanks very much for your time. We'll wait and see what happens. Will we get that apology with conditions from Ace Magashule by the close of business today?